Yo, 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 what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? It's your boy Mike K. Smith. Make sure y'all go like, comment, and subscribe. The Indiana Fever are legit. They are legit. They are scary. They are going to be spooky come the playoff time. I'll say it again. The Indiana Fever are legit. They are going to be scary. They're going to be spooky come the playoff time in the WNBA. What an exciting game. And I knew it was going to be a great game because anytime you have the opportunity to go in and have a statement game, it makes things even more fun. It makes things more exciting. And then I don't think the Indiana Fever have lost a game at home since the early part of June. They are lethal. That energy is dynamic. The atmosphere with the Indiana Fever and their fan base, it's like a connection that we haven't seen before in the WNBA landscape. That energy of that crowd, the impact. Like the Indiana Fever, they are a legit threat in the playoffs. Come to playoffs, they are clicking on all cylinders. You have CaitlinClark, you have Kelsey Mitchell, who are playing beautifully together, and they're finally have that chemistry. They have that connection. Watching CaitlinClark and watching Kelsey Mitchell play basketball is one of the most beautiful things in the WNBA. Forget that. It's one of the most beautiful things for as a backcourt that I've seen in a minute when we have two players that really are connected and have this chemistry, and we have a complimentary star in Kelsey Mitchell, who is the wide receiver to CaitlinClark being the quarterback. Watching CaitlinClark and Kelsey Mitchell is like watching Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. They're creating beautiful magic on the basketball court. It's like watching James Harden when he was playing with Kyrie Irving. It's unstoppable. It's unguardable. It's pure. It's the essence of skill set. When we talk about CaitlinClark, when we talk about Kelsey Mitchell needs to get her bag. The Indiana Fever need to write a blank check when it's time to offer up that money, because what her and CaitlinClark have together is something special. They have the potential to be the best backcourt in the WNBA for years to come. Like, that's how lethal they are as a dynamic duo, especially since with CaitlinClark playing with space, her passing ability, her gravity on the court, and having a player like Kelsey Mitchell who can allow her to do the things that she does on a basketball court and can play off of her, whether it's on ball, whether it's having the ball in her hands and creating her own shot and taking pressures off of CaitlinClark. It has been fun. It has been exciting. And it's been something special. In the Connecticut Sun versus the Indiana Fever, this is the first time in 11 matchups that the Indiana Fever were able to beat the Connecticut Sun. And what I like watching this game was that the Indiana Fever really was in control from start to finish because they were allowed to play their pace, and they really didn't allow the Connecticut Sun to make the game a half-court game. And we know the Connecticut Sun is one of the best defenses in the league. They rank 2 overall in defenses in the WNBA. They're lethal. They have the perimeter defenders to really contain CaitlinClark at times. That's why I think she had like 7 turnovers, and she had more turnovers than assists this game. They really make it hard and difficult for CaitlinClark, but they were able to come out and win this game, a game that they needed for their confidence, because they've been beating on some teams, the Indiana Fever. They've been winning some games, but you need to come out and showcase you can beat and play against the top 3 teams in the WNBA. And they were able to show that since coming out of this break from the Olympics, they have been arguably the best team in the league right now outside of Minnesota. Just everything's connecting, everything's aligning with them, and it's very, very special times. And CaitlinClark, she became she broke the NBA's record for as a rookie for 3-pointers made. Shout outs to her. She's continued to define the game. She's continued to make an impact. She's continued to do things that people thought that she wasn't going to be able to come in and do. She's breaking records, but also Kelsey Mitchell broke a record as well. Kelsey Mitchell, 5 straight games of 20 points or more. That's the Indiana Fever's record. Her and CaitlinClark, it's like I can't stop talking about them because they're so special. It's so lethal. They are so dynamic duo. And it's just fun to watch. And then we were looking at this game because it had all NBA type of matchups when we talk about Alyssa Thomas and we talk about CaitlinClark. A lot of people feel that Alyssa Thomas is going to be first team all NBA. Some people feel that CaitlinClark should be first team all NBA over Alyssa Thomas. So Alyssa Thomas came into this game and CaitlinClark came into this game with something to prove and something to kind of show out, show what you're about. And Alyssa Thomas had a phenomenal game, and CaitlinClark had a great game, especially in the second half, even though she was having to turn the ball over in the first half a lot. But just watching both of these players play, we saw what separates them the most, because during the end of the fourth quarter, the Connecticut Sun tried to give the ball to Alyssa Thomas for her to go out and make a play and her to go out and tie the game. But she doesn't have that creation ability. She doesn't have that pureness in her game when we talk about scoring. She's a big body, strong woman whose game is similar to Draymond Green's to me when we have a comparison in the WNBA, but she's just so physically dominant and strong, and she does so much on the basketball court, for her defense, for her passing, for her rebounding, and she can score a little bit. So she's an all-around player, and that's great. That's fine, but I don't think that, to me, she's a better basketball player than CaitlinClark, even though people are going to say I'm crazy, but I would prefer to have CaitlinClark on my team. And if I was selecting an all-NBA first team, I don't know if I would have Alyssa Thomas over CaitlinClark, because as great as Alyssa Thomas is, I don't even think she's the best basketball player on the team. I think that is Bonner, who the Connecticut Sun's coaching staff made a mistake by not playing her when it mattered to most and leaving her on the bench for 5 out of the 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It made absolutely no sense whatsoever. This also proved that the Fever has a good defense. And that's what Kelsey Mitchell was talking about at the end of the game. They were talking about locking in defensively, locking in and making sure that they are not missing the rotations, making sure everybody's guarding their man, and making sure that everybody's given effort, especially when we talk about CaitlinClark, who gave a lot of effort this game as well defensively, which is what we like to see, because we know she's not the best defensive player. But effort and also positioning can really help you overcompensate some of your flaws defensively. Shots, Lexi is good on threes. Fever can compete. Yeah, man. And then Lexi came in and she was able to start this game. I think she needs to continue to start, especially in the playoffs. Maybe you when Kate comes back, you allow her to start in the regular season. But Lexi gives them another score, a different dynamic as well. A person that can hit key and open shots on the basketball court. But sometimes you need that player coming off the bench, because we saw the Sun. They have a little bit more depth they got a lot more depth than the Fever. So maybe you want to keep Lexi coming off the bench to have that scoring punch. But this was exciting. This stopped the 11-game losing streak for the Indiana Fever against the Connecticut Sun. They haven't beaten the Connecticut Sun in 11 straight games. And what's going on with the Indiana Fever? They already have surpassed the amount of wins that they won last year. And right now they're 1 game back behind the Phoenix Mercury for the 6th seed right now in the playoffs. And we know the Phoenix Mercury, they're playing later on tonight. Who knows if they're going to win that game or not. But this confidence that the Indiana Fever are playing with, and since the break, Kelsey Mitchell especially, she's the closer for the Indiana Fever. When the game is on the line, when you need a big bucket, when you need a big shot, you want Kelsey Mitchell to be able to take that shot and make that shot, because she's the closer. CaitlinClark's still the best player, but she's the closer. And also Aaliyah Boston. Being so unselfish. This is the reigning rookie of the year in Aaliyah Boston. She was averaging 16 and 10 last year. She's now the third option for the Indiana Fever. And she's also one of the best passing big men in the league, if not the best passing big man in the WNBA. But she plays the game unselfish. She rebounds, she defends, she plays hard, she sets picks, and she doesn't really need a lot of touches to succeed or to have success on the basketball court. Even though I would love for the Indiana Fever to especially get ready, because in the playoffs, when the game slows down, you need a big man to be able to just dominate and score in a half-court setting. They need to get her involved a little bit more, but she's so unselfish, and you need players like that. And I love what she's been bringing to the Indiana Fever, even though she hasn't been scoring like we know she can score. But as well, she's rebounding and she's defending and she's giving her all on the basketball court. This game was crazy good. I want to know what you think about the shot CC took to the chin. On Alyssa Thomas, I thought that should have been a foul. Alyssa Thomas is a big woman. She kind of shoulder checked CaitlinClark. I thought that should have been a foul. I thought that was a missed call. The refs in this game missed a lot of calls, not just for the Indiana Fever, but also for the Connecticut Sun. That was a travel at the end of the game with Kelsey Mitchell, and they didn't call that. That was a big call missed by the refs as well. But that shoulder check for Alyssa Thomas, I was shocked that wasn't called because she leaned in her shoulder. Like, it was not just a solid screen set. So I thought it should have been definitely been a call. I don't think probably even possibly a flagrant foul, because she did really lean her shoulder in. I'm shocked that the referees missed that. CC would have had 10 assists if her teammates had open layups, but it's satisfying to win. Lexi and Tim made important contributions. Yeah, we always talk about the assists and things of that nature for us, like Indiana Fever missing layups and things of that nature. But CaitlinClark was also turning the ball over a lot in the first half, especially due to that perimeter pressure that Dejanay Carrington was really putting on CaitlinClark, also Alyssa Thomas at times. Amal, when you get a chance after game review, can you explain how lottery picks work? I really hope the WNBA doesn't do the same thing when NHL brought the new takes unfairly, literally. I mean, for it's like the lottery picks, for it's like the WNBA, it goes on the worst teams that's in the league. So right now, I think the Dallas, who is crazy because they had one of their best players just came back, and they're looking like the team that most people thought they were going to be for an entire season, but they were dealing with injuries, and one of their best players just came back recently. They're probably going to have a top pick. And if there's an expansion, I believe that the expansion team, I think the Knights in Golden State, I think they will have a top pick as well. I don't know if it's going to be the number one overall pick, but it's going to be probably top three for sure. Top players basically won the championship, and we were good for them. How will we knew WN team work? Do we know yet? What is really exciting is Lexi and Tammy rounding the shape, and playoffs are just down the road. Yeah, the playoffs are things down the road. Appreciate you, Rocky. Say thanks, Ahmad. Enjoy your channel. I appreciate it, man. What's wrong with CC? This is the third game. She's not feeling it. Ain't nobody going to sweep the Fever. Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to sweep the Indiana Fever. I don't think anybody wants to play the Indiana Fever. I think the Indiana Fever is one of the most dangerous teams coming into the playoffs because of their pace, because of their quickness, because of just their overall style of play. Their style of play is different than any other team in the WNBA. Nobody plays what the Indiana Fever is playing. And that's why I love watching the WNBA, because it seems like every team has different types of play styles. Each team has different types of play styles. And nobody plays the play style that the Indiana Fever plays. For its pace, for its speed, for its acceleration, for its having an engine and a guard like CaitlinClark who can really dictate and run the show with just her playmaking ability and her scoring. And then you got Kelsey Mitchell, then you got Lexi coming off the bench, and then you got a big man in Boston who's very versatile and very skilled and also can score in the half court when she gets things going, and that gives them another threat as well. The Indiana Fever are building something very, very special, and it starts with CaitlinClark. It starts with Kelsey Mitchell. It starts with Aaliyah Boston. They have to make sure that those three are locked in and tight for their contract situations, for their chemistry. And just hearing Kelsey Mitchell after the game talk about how excited she was, it was a breath of fresh air, because we know she's been very kind of like had a lot of choicy words about, her feelings about certain things and a little frustration. But this is the most exciting I've seen Kelsey Mitchell. She's stepping into that leadership role because she is the older, the older one of the oldest teammates or one of the oldest players on the team for us that has been there the longest. She got drafted in 2019, so she's seen a lot of up and down and also, struggle. So this is the first time she's seeing the ultimate success and winning games and them about to go into the playoffs. Once again, they ain't been to the playoffs since 2016. The last time the Indiana Fever was in the playoffs, CaitlinClark was a freshman in high school. So this all is new territory for all these players. And Kelsey Mitchell, I'm glad she's finally seeing some of the success and seeing some of what the potential future can be after years of struggle. It reminds me of Devin Booker with the Phoenix Suns. Devin Booker, for years, we saw struggle and struggle and struggle. He's putting up these numbers and these stats, and people are like, "Oh, it's empty stats," but everybody knew that, oh no, he's a pure hooper. He's going to be one of the best basketball players as soon as he gets a team of great players around him. This is what has been happening with Kelsey Mitchell. We're seeing that she's one of the best pure hoopers in the game. We're seeing right now she is the closer for the Indiana Fever. We're seeing right now she's leading points per game after this break, the All-Star break. She's been very phenomenal. Killer Kelsey's been keeping us alive during the drought. She has. No doubt some rest rigging the games, man. How about the three-pointer by Kelsey? They waved it off, moving screen at the ball. It's going clean. House and medium. Yeah, the refs were really bad. It was a lot of missed calls. We talked about the missed calls for the screen on CaitlinClark. We talked about when Kelsey Mitchell traveled and they didn't call that for the Connecticut Sun. We also, the waving off the three, the shot was gone. And before Boston ran into the defender, it was a lot of missed calls. Bad refereeing. And hopefully that gets more tighter come the playoffs. But at the end of the day, a few calls don't determine the whole outcome of the game. Being a former basketball player, all players know that. It's just kind of like sometimes it gets to situations where if the calls are very consecutive, like boom, 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 then you start feeling some type of way. But 1 or 2, 3 calls don't really determine the outcome of the entire game. When she was turning the ball in the first half, they built a big lead and scored. Yeah, for CaitlinClark, yeah, that's definitely true. And she has to be tighter with the basketball. Sometimes she tries to make plays, and she's so phenomenal, but it's just like she's also very aggressive. And I always say, when you have an aggressive point guard, people love to talk about, well, assist to turnover ratio. I really don't care about that if my point guard's not being aggressive. I love when my point guard's being aggressive because that means they're trying to put a lot of pressure on the defense and a lot of pressure at the rim, and also pressure and sucking the defense in and trying to get the defense to collapse to find open men on the perimeter. So I get that CaitlinClark is going to have turnovers, and yes, she needs to stop being so careless with the ball at times. But at the same time, she's also being very, very aggressive with her playmaking and her passing ability, and also trying to find the open man and allowing the defense to really key in on her due to her on-ball gravity, which allows her teammates to have success. So it's a give and take type of situation when we talk about turnovers with CaitlinClark for sure. So it's getting crazy, and I'm really excited with the Indiana Fever. I knew it was going to be a great game. I knew it was going to be – this was a playoff atmosphere type of game. This gave you that playoff vibe. This gave you that, wow, this could be a first-round potential matchup, and I would love to see it. I would love for this to be a potential playoff matchup in the first round with the Sun, with the Fever, because there'll be a lot of things at stake. And the Indiana Fever – collectively as a team, they got to do better off of turnovers, also their transition defense. The Suns had 20 points off of 20 turnovers. That lets me know that their fast break transition defense needs to improve, because that's something that the teams would really try to hurt the Indiana Fever come playoff time if they know that they're going to turn the ball over a lot, but they're also not hustling back on defense. But ask y'all questions in the chat, man. Really appreciate y'all locking in and getting in, man. This has been exciting. If the Fever play like this, it would be hard to beat a completely balanced game across the board with everyone making contributions. The Indiana Fever can upset a top team in the WNBA come to playoff times. Matchups and seedings it matters. I would say that I would love to see the Indiana Fever play the Connecticut Sun, but at the same time, the Connecticut Sun have perimeter defenders that can really challenge CaitlinClark and give her a hard time defensively. Like they have the length, they have the size, they also have the physical, like, just frame and body for us to lift. And like Alyssa Thomas was guarding CaitlinClark. That's a big girl. So it's just like they have that's I know they won this game, but the Connecticut Sun in the playoffs, where we know that it's more of a half court game that will favor Connecticut unless the Indiana Fever can play their game. But it's all about matchups in the playoffs. Like whoever matches up with certain teams are going to benefit with certain things. But I would, if I was a betting man, and I am a betting man at times, I would bet my money on the Fever making things very, very difficult for a team in the playoffs. They may not win the first round matchup, but potentially they're not getting swept. Best of 3 series in first round, they win in 1 game. Because playing in Indiana, it's like playing in the Denver Nuggets. That's how lethal that fan base is. That's how different that atmosphere is. That's how different that stadium. It's like having a 6-man. It's like in NCAA football when you're playing a team on the road and you got a stadium, they're going crazy, they're going wild. That's what it's like playing in Indiana when you're playing against the Fever. Hey Smith, stake up the whole game. Needs to see the bench next game. Yeah, I mean that happens, man. People play bad. But I mean it's here nor there. Once again, the Indiana Fever really was locked in, and it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. I thank y'all for getting the chat. Also, I told y'all last stream that I had a surprise for y'all, and I hope y'all lock in. I sent the link in the chat. This is my second ever children's book. It's called Becoming Kobe Bryant. It's on BarnesandNoble.com. It's also on Amazon as well. You can go get it. This is my second children's book. This is the hardcover copy. It's called Becoming Kobe Bryant as well. Once again, on Barnes and Noble, and it's on Amazon Prime as well. If you want to go out and you want to support, if you got a niece, if you got a son, if you got a brother, sister, whatever. I think we all know kids that love basketball and love Kobe and just the sport. So this is my second children's book, man. I really hope y'all. I released it last week for Kobe's birthday. So once again, it's on Barnes and Noble, Becoming Kobe Bryant. I would appreciate if y'all just tell a friend to tell a friend. I'm not telling y'all got to go out and buy. The hardcover is on Barnes and Noble. Also, the paperback is on Barnes and Noble. Also, is on Amazon as well, if that's better for y'all. But once again, I really appreciate y'all for locking in. And I'm about to get out of here, but Forrest Tokyo, he said, who are my top teams? My top teams right now for the WNBA are still the Connecticut Sun, Minnesota as well. And I'm still going to roll with the Aces. I'm still going to roll with the Aces because I feel like they are the defending champs, but it's going to be hard to three-peat. We haven't seen a team three-peat since the Houston Comets. So really appreciate y'all, man. Once again, it's your boy, Mike Smith. Don't forget to lock in, like, comment, and subscribe. Once again, Becoming Kobe Bryant on Barnes & Noble and Amazon. Appreciate y'all.